Hey, welcome to Superfly. It's David Spade with his greasy hair and
Yeah,
Dana, who's nice and fluffy and fresh.
I'm fluffed and folded. I've been preening for 11 hours. Uh,
I
and I got my
I
light.
just got off of Busboys and came here and look at that greasy hair. Holy
Busboys,
crap.
David Spade and Theo Vaughn are the Busboys.
Are the
Wait till
Busboys. We
you
did
see
put a
these.
picture on Instagram today for the first time, but it's
It,
not our outfits,
oh,
but this UFC fighter Nate Diaz was the first person we said cast, and he plays one of the kind of bad guys, and he's just a
well,
bad
I'll
badass
see
fighter.
anything with Nate Diaz, anything, because those Nate Diaz brothers, man.
Oh, you know him.
I
Yeah,
know
yeah, yeah.
all
From
about. I watch it
since
all the time with my son. It's just
he's
I
such a
love you.
he's just like a little wiry dude. He'll beat up anyone, and he doesn't care at all.
Did
That's
you
the way I want to live my life, like him.
Yeah, he's a badass. He did kind of reverse chokehold. They last year it was outside a club, and the guy bent
Yeah,
down and he choked him out. So yeah, street fighter man just takes
yeah.
punishment.
He's got a guy with him, and then one of the guys. I think if he accidentally gets in a fight, the guy just films it. Like, hey, why not? You know.
Oh yeah, that's what like you're scrappy. If I'm out with you somewhere and you get in a fist fight, that
Yeah.
camera's coming out, and I'm pressing record and I'm pressing send. You've been warned.
And I'm pressing post.
And I'm pressing pause and I'm
You're
counting views.
posting it. Yeah, yeah.
And
Get the
I'm
clicks.
DMing Nate Diaz about it. Say, guess what?
You
There's a
know,
new sheriff in town.
he
Diaz.
says today he's exactly what you think. He's kind of looked at. He's got his arms like this. We have him playing one of the bad guys anyway. He's like beating up a guy in the scene, and we come on. Theo and I talk to him, and then we're walking over to watch playback, and he goes, and Theo goes, "Man, don't get too many more fights. Don't want to end up in a wheelchair." He goes, "Yeah, I don't want to end up in a wheelchair. I got to quit before I get all goofy looking." I go, "Oh, you don't think you're goofy looking now?"
Whoa,
Spade goes right for the jugular. You think I'm not scared of anyone.
that's either brave or naive. I'm going to say it's
So stupid.
Beneve. It's both.
I think when you're a comedian and he's a cool dude and he likes comedy and he was for a guy like that to be excited to be be excited to be in it, and we DM'd a little bit about it. I think it's fun. You have to kind of do some jokes and jabs because that's sort of what they want.
Yeah.
When you're out, people want you to be
Regular
funny.
humans, which we were until we fought through stage fright. For me, it was like a decade, but especially I would have a panic attack perennially all day. So when they see anybody walking out on stage doing stand-up, acting all calm and confident and joking around, what's up? It's like, because I don't want to go in the cage.
Yeah.
With I don't know who's the bad
Conor McGregor.
Conor McGregor, the greatest promoter. I'll give you that. The greatest promoter.
I like UFC.
I take you
I
out.
go to UFC. Yeah,
You want to fight me? I take you apart. Sorry, not my
right
best.
out of a Lucky Charms commercial.
Oh.
And so I think it's always the same. Like, I can't do UFC. They like people that don't do what they do. You know how it is. So
yeah, totally.
Anyway, it was super fun to have him there. Today was not as freezing as the last couple of days, but Theo all day does say very clever things like you would think, or you might not think. But
was it when the camera's rolling, or just clever?
No, both.
Both.
When we're waiting in the car, and I'm freezing, and I go, "I got long johns on." He goes, "You do?" I was thinking of wearing long johns if I ever get married.
And so a camera got that. So you guys
It's
are
just in the car.
Yeah.
And then we get out and we go, "Hey, are we mic'd?" They go, "Get us in the car just talking before we get out in the scene, because it's funny to hear what we pull in and say and then get out has nothing to do with the scene."
Always Rolling Productions is the name of my production company. And you want to catch those little throwaways. I just think Long John's is like, Long John's got a funny word, it's like
when you do Theo, you start going.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm like a porcupine,
Yeah, I know. He goes, I said, it's so funny to me. You wear long johns if you ever get married someday. He goes, yeah, because I want to be warm. He goes, I actually want to be warm more than I want to be married.
So he knows he's doing a bit.
But it's well constructed. Like, it's just whatever he's saying is good.
Yes.
And all day, and then we laugh, and then we try to put something in the movie because we say something about Rainforest Cafe, and it's always bananas. And I know people want to hear him like that. So his character is a little dingy because he got hit by a car.
Yeah.
And so it's a good excuse for the rest of the movie. He can kind of say anything.
That's fantastic. Keep him. Yeah. Keep him coming. He has his own lane. It's very clever the way he presents his comedy. I don't know if there's anyone, there was Mitch Hedberg. There's other
Hedberg was cool. Yeah.
But Theo's, he's got a special.
He's got a very unique fingerprint in the world of comedy.
I have a new name for the movie Busboys. It's now Theo Vaughn and David Spade in Riding Coattails.
Whose coattails are we riding? We'll take anybody. We don't even consciously. He's like, let's not put a lot of celebrities in here because it should be kind of down and dirty. And I'm like, okay. I mean, it's hard not to go to your friends and go, hey, can you come out here? Hey, Dana, can you come out here and do something?
Look, he has a point, because when you see the famous person, I remember Matt Damon, who's a brilliant actor, but he was in Interstellar, $1 billion Matthew McConaughey spaceship movie. And then he's, hey, who are you? And he's turned away and he turns back and it's just a big Matt Damon face. And it took me out of the movie. The way
I could see that. Also, if you see someone well-known and then they're like, oh, that guy's in the movie. It does. Sometimes it can take you out. It's fun to have people in, but it's a tough decision to go, should we try to get people that are really well-known? Should we just go down and dirty and get a few buddies and comedians and
the studio loves stunt casting and loading them in, and I don't blame. They want to hedge, and maybe someone in Spain is a huge fan of whoever the guest is.
If you're doing a studio movie, they're like, hey, get a huge soccer player to do something, and then get a huge TikToker, and then they just are going anywhere, everywhere to grab anybody's audience and bring it into that movie.
If it feels authentic with you and Theo and just feels thrown away and two guys having fun, I think that's a good lane to be in, personally.
We just need to keep it hopefully funny. All right. Yeah. Moving on. What is your week like, Dana? Let's hear about it.
Well, there's stuff that's just in the ether now. One thing that's I keep referring to my team, and I hear people say, my team will reach out. My team will get back to you. And I just think it's I don't know when that came in, because a team used to be sports, and now it's just an office. They make plumbing equipment. My team's going to reach out. My team is on it. No, you don't have a team. My team will get back to you.
So the people should know in Hollywood, you say, hey, let's say Chelsea Handler's doing the podcast next week. They're like, we talked to her team. Dialed in with her team.
Her team got back.
Her team's looking at Friday.
Her team's looking at stuff. Yeah. Her team's looking at Thursday, the 29th.
Yeah. And we're like, hey,
other team, because she has several teams, is looking at the 23rd.
Everyone's team. But we talked to Larry David's team. He was about to do it, but then there's a fire. So the team's circling back.
And some people are honest. Look, my team will get back to be honest. I have a shitty team. I don't have a very good team. They don't have a winning record, but they will get back to you.
They're a minor league team.
Yeah. So basically, let's talk about just things that are evergreen now. Like, okay, this came out just before this podcast. It's still going to be good in a couple of days. Trump said that the drones were not UFOs, but the FAA approved the drones for, quote, research and, quote, other reasons. That just brings up more shit. What do you mean other reasons? What do you mean research? They've got go-karts with lights and wings on them, hundreds of them right over New Jersey for research.
Thousands.
And
you don't mention it for 2 months?
And they don't mention it for 2 months. That one's a little worrisome to me.
I feel like it's honestly a mixture between real UFOs and man-made UFOs, but these aren't little cute drones, which is a fun name of calling like a 600-foot aircraft. There's so many different kinds, and they're morphing into different things, They're like circled and they go flat, and you're like, this is bananas. What's going on?
I think I'm going to go on a limb that we may need a little quick visit on the next Superfly from our friend, Mr. Stevie Greer, doctor. So I think that they said that later there was a lot of knuckleheads with go-karts up there and wings and filled the sky. But initially they put them up there, didn't tell the public, quote unquote, for research and other reasons. So I mean, even Trump, who's like the most will say anything. What can I tell him? I'll tell him research and other reasons. I won't tell him about the aliens. I'm not going to tell him because we don't need aliens. Nobody likes an alien. They don't like them.
They don't trust them.
They don't trust them because they're illegal aliens. No, these are real. These are real aliens. They're not the other kind.
They should have a movie, Aliens versus Illegal Aliens. Gets a good poster.
Yeah, that is a good poster. So that we can let our fans talk amongst themselves. The other thing that happened this week was Deep Seek, which is an AI that they made for $1.50. Now, normally it takes 100 billion to make a cool AI chips.
Yeah, I heard about this while I was working.
Chinese guys just who had nothing. They went to Radio Shack and they came out with the greatest AI in history. And I did talk to it today. I got the app, and this is what it said. I said, Deep Seek. How is ketchup made? Okay, 2-minute pause, and it said, I don't know. I said, Deep Seek, you deep suck. Pause, and it says, fuck you, human. That was the exchange. Fuck you, human.
I said, Deep Seek, you suck, rack 'em. Now, I will say, I said, Deep Seek, how is ketchup made? It said, you don't really know this answer? And I go, well, don't worry about that. I'm just testing you. Well, and it's like, all right.
I talked to my brother Brad, who's an AI guy, and we created one today called Deep Doo-Doo, and that's for people who have problems in relationships or finances. I am Deep Doo-Doo. And I'm sorry, that's all I got.
And when Deep Sea came out, a lot of investors were in deep doo-doo.
I'm deep
when
doo-doo.
It crashed.
Definite Johnny Carson thing. Oh, he was in deep doo-doo. I kid you not.
There is a one that's if you invest in squirrels, it's called Deep Squeak. It's probably a lie. That's
is that real?
Told me that today. I don't think so.
AI's taken over everything. I don't trust any of it. Yeah, Deep Squeak.
We have an AI joke today. We did. I'm like, AI's out there, but it's just I don't love saying the term AI. I will say on my Instagram, it's too much, and I think that swings back to the UFOs, where these people just don't know. You can't. Even if Stephen Greer said it's coming out in a month, I've seen more new stuff, and it's mind-boggling, and nobody cares.
No, that's the interesting part. Nobody cares.
Unless you see an alien walking up to the White House going, take me to your leader. That's people want the easy stuff.
Well, the response from the government, let's put it that way, just doesn't, I love this phrase, it doesn't hold water. And so it just creates
Very
more
leaky.
questions. So
leaky.
By the way, this is very quick, but it tells you what the actual people did with DeepSeek that was revolutionary. Normally, ChatGPT would tell the robot person, AI, study this library, like read every book in the library, 1 million books. And I go, okay. Yeah. And then you ask it a question about a book and it immediately answers. So what they did to circumvent the lack of power that they have with these goofball Radio Shack chips, they just trained the AI to go find the book. Go get me Moby Dick. Oh, just 1 minute, sir. And then he goes and gets it and has read it and then answers it. And that created so much more room for less power.
Because knowing the answer in a millisecond is a bazillisecond.
And it takes...
Who's got time?
It takes so much energy for that AI to learn those 1 million books. But they can teach the AI, let me go look up the book.
Right.
My new name is the Dewey Decimal AI.
Well, when they say they invested, I think that was one of the new policies, invest $500 billion. I'm like, that's fucking 18 zeros, babe. Like, that's a lot of cashish to throw at one project.
Well, this news this week reorientated the world. Now, the market out of that came back a little bit, but the idea that our companies are spending hundreds of billions buying these chips, and they literally said they did it with 5 million. 5 million versus 100 billion. So it completely, market crashed. People are processing it.
Fucking
and we'll see.
Markdown. Everything must go.
Yeah, I know. It's like someone
It's like
making a podcast as good as ours for
No
like
way.
$5.
No way.
We would be
Heather,
fucked.
can you tilt this up? I'm sitting up for a second. This is Heather. Well,
We
I have
would
to
be
say, I don't.
so screwed.
I'm a little scared of AI, but I guess I'm scared of everything. Who cares? Also, what
You're
else
not
is
as
there?
scared. You're not afraid of Nate Diaz. I'll just give you that much.
No, he's my boy.
You got sassy with that guy.
Well, it's January, Dana. I don't know if you have checked the calendar, but
I don't check the calendar, but I just sense the holidays are over. The hustle and the bustle and the rustle and the turkey
muscle.
and the trees and the Santa and the blah, blah, blah. It's over. But
it's over. Yeah.
It's now a time to recover. Think a little bit, after all that holiday spending, you know who you are.
It's
David.
a hangover for your credit.
That's right.
What I say.
Yeah. You got to get back on track in 2025.
Yep. This is the year. Start building. Build your credit with Kickoff. You know what Kickoff is. It's one of our sponsors.
Kickoff. The number one credit building app in the App Store? That Kickoff?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Their plan starts at just $5 a month. There's no credit check.
Oh. Get out of town and hold the phone. $5 a month to get started.
No hidden fees, no interest. Not too shabby.
That's the key, is credit. Building credit. Because without credit, you're in a tough spot. Kickoff helps you build that credit.
Let's say you want to get a car this year. You want to do anything that involves credit, lower level, bigger scale.
Mm-hmm.
You got to build it up. You got to start somewhere.
Right. And so this way it always seems overwhelming. How do I do it? And Kickoff kind of starts you slow. And then slowly but surely you can
Let's say your credit, I don't know what yours is, Dana. Let's say it's 600, right? You could jump 28 points in the first month.
Wow. And
that's noticeable. That's a chunk.
Kickoff is smart. It's a legit credit hack with no catch. Do you know what I'm saying? No credit check, no hidden fees, no interest. Hello.
You start building credit immediately for only $1 your first month.
Now that just says that
that's
everyone
the smallest amount
can engage with Kickoff. $1 a month. It's just a build slowly. You know what compounding is, David? How things over time. We'll talk later.
By the way, in the App Store, it has over 100,000 positive reviews.
Wow. 98% are 5 stars. Sounds familiar.
Like my act. Listen, shake off the credit card hangover and look forward to a brighter credit with Kickoff. Get your first month for just $1 at getkickoff.com/superfly today.
That's 80% off. Kickoff without the C. Get KIKOFF.com/superfly.
Must sign via getkickoff.com/superfly to activate offer. Offer applies to new customers first month only. Subject to approval. Offer subject to change. Terms and conditions may apply. Point stat based on Equifax Vantage Score 3.0.
Changes for Kickoff users starting under 600 who made their first on-time payment between January 2021 and March 2024. Payment and credit activity outside Kickoff can have an impact on your credit. Individual results may vary.
Oh, soon this is a good story. This is related. Okay. AI will soon be able to translate what your cat or dog is saying to you. Bull fucking shit.
You know what?
Come on.
No, I think it will. I think it will because the AI brain is unlimited and it would have so much information in its brain that it makes sense to me. But we'll see.
But the people that say like when a dog is doing like this with his paw, what he wants to do is tell the owner he's happy with him, but he's a little frustrated. I'm like, who's talking to the dogs? Everyone it's all speculation. So, but everyone believes it. Oh yeah, that's this and that means that.
Well, newsflash
does something
for you because you know I read.
Give me a
lot.
Newsflash.
Newsflash is that they're not quite sure why cats purr. All I know is that it's a charming sound. They think maybe it was manipulation. My cat Boots would sometimes, when I was a kid, would get up on my chest and sleep and look right at me and purr. And I'm leaning back at age 10. And then Boots's paws would start to start to grind into my chest. Like,
jeez, are you on a date?
Yeah. I said to myself, even at age 10, is this cat getting off? Like,
are we just friends, Boots? What's going on?
I don't know if I mentioned that on the podcast in our 700 episodes, but
yeah,
I might
you were
have.
dating Boots for a while.
You know what? What's really is ironic? Boots was black and white and had little white paws. So some genius, I think it was Garth, went, I think we should call him Boots.
Boots.
That was Brad. We should call him Boots.
Dude, my friend had a black cat named it Midnight and a orange one Pumpkin. I mean,
I love you on Superfly after 29 hours in a car in the desert.
Well, this girl told me she went on a date, and I go, you're telling me the most boring date story. She goes, do you want to know what I named my cats when I was little? I had a white one named Snowball. I had a black one named Midnight. I'm like, oh boy, we got a clever household there. And then there was one named Wilbur and one pink one named Pinky. I'm like, God damn.
We had a little poodle named Peppy. And I don't know why. It wasn't even Mexican or anything, but Peppy was kind of hip.
I had a German Shepherd named Princess, and she was so cute. And this ratty dog next door named Shecky that had like, you know, some of the fur burned off. It's just like really like a street dog. I don't even know how to address, would hop the fence and just wail and just bone Princess all the time. And Princess was like, I'm sorry. Does someone know this dog? Like, it's so embarrassing. Dogs just get it on right away, and there's not a big courting process.
I found it disturbing walking down the street at age 7 and seeing dogs getting it on, and then some old man with a hose. Get out of here! Why is he breaking it up? They're in love. Come on,
they're in love.
Oh, what you doing here?
I know Princess is like, maybe we can get some appetizers first. It's literally jump, scratch up. Hey, how's it going? We're at a barbecue. He's like, hey, got some coleslaw over there. And Princess is like, is anybody going to help me?
They don't have hands. They're not.
This is like, you know, assault. I'm being assaulted here.
Yeah. But anyway, that was...
and then Princess got pregnant. Didn't see Shecky around much. And then about a year later, Shecky walks by. Hey, Princess, what's going on? She's got all the puppies.
He's got a metaphor.
He's like, hey, where you been? I haven't seen you. And she's like, oh, just a yard that I live in that I'm not allowed to leave in my whole life. I've always been here. He's like, cool, we should meet up. And she's like, yeah, let me know. I'm like, Princess, you're back already? You're in? You're into it?
What happened to the puppies?
They had a weird relationship.
Give them away?
Puppies. We had 13. Actually, 13. I stayed out in the grass when she had her puppies, Heather. So good dude I was. I had ticks in my hair. They're gone now.
Criminy, what are you, an obstetrician all of a sudden? You know, suddenly we got
slept on the grass.
6-year-old Phoenix gynecologist.
And I wasn't a gyno. It was magical, Dana. I didn't know what I was doing.
I think it's great that human beings can have a cat, a dog, a hamster, whatever, and just humanize it completely. So it's like a human, but they don't have to send it to college or anything or feed it much.
You know what the sad part was? Because back then, Dana, it was okay to have your dog in the yard. No one even thought twice. No one thought twice. Meanwhile, it's 110. So she'd come to the Arcadia door. She's like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, Princess. And she's like, I'm like, Princess, I can't open the door. It's too cold. All the cold air will come out. But she wanted to come in, you know.
Well, why wouldn't she?
Well, for a minute or two, but that's just the way it was back then. It was bullshit.
I was disappointed in Boots because at one point, you know, I thought the cat was actually really smart. And then we were going on a vacation in Montana and we had to get Boots in the house. So we couldn't get the cat in the house and we're all trying to leave in the station wagon, 7 of us. So I took a plate that we used to use, like a little plate, a little small, you know, bread roll plate. And I didn't put food on it because that wasn't getting her in, but I just tapped a spoon on it, went outside in the yard, and it followed me like a Pied Piper just with the tap. I thought, this cat is a fucking idiot.
Yeah, that's kind of
There's no food on this.
Typical Boots.
Typical Boots.
Yeah.
Or Ginger.
All right, give me another story. Pumpkin, Snowball. Oh, Martha Stewart said her favorite SNL impersonations of her isn't the one you would have expected.
Huh? How many have there been?
Over the 5 decades. Back it up. I can't read this.
David Spade's my favorite. This is pretty cool.
He really jumped to the front of it, but it was 9 people did her.
Okay.
On the show.
Alan Cumming. Who else?
I think Anna Gasteyer. Here, pan down. I don't know. I did have her poncho, and then I did it with her. I went on her show and did it. But I can't believe someone sent me this.
Where did you get her poncho?
Well, it said I sourced her poncho for the out of jail bit. Yeah, she couldn't host SNL because they wouldn't let her out of jail early or something.
Well, look, as a scoop right now, could we hear and or see a little bit of your impression?
I have the poncho still.
Well, did you change your voice at all, or did you sound like David Spade? Hey,
I think I tried to change it, and then when I went on with her, I had a funny wig. That was 98% of it. Oh. Poncho. And we'll get a picture we'll put up here.
Right. But that's cool.
Wig was 98% of it. Poncho was 2%. So that it was unneeded to have a funny voice. All right, next one.
I like everything I'm hearing.
Yeah, I love it so far. Love it.
Yeah.
Buffering. Oh, Anthony Mackie. Okay, here's what Anthony Mackie said. I'll read it. I saw this today and I thought it's a little odd. He plays Captain America. I don't know if you heard this, Dana.
No.
Here's the quote he said when he's doing an interview about Captain America. For me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term America should be one of those things. Why would you say that? What does it mean?
And then he had to set the record straight.
Yeah, he had to say that, but what would you say? What did it mean?
It seems not very flattering to America, I guess. I don't know.
I'm a little flummoxed.
I don't know. Flummoxed. There's a lot of things about Captain America, but America's not one of them. You know what? I played Captain America in Master of Disguise, and
you did?
I did. I played Captain America. A little montage at the end. I had the outfit on and everything. And I just thought it's Captain America. I mean, look at his shield. It has American,
It's, American colors. It's really just the only guy that has to like America, really.
Is Captain America. Just look at the name. It's like the Three Stooges. There's 3 of them, and they're Stooges. I mean,
it sells itself.
It's not Captain Soviet Union,
Yeah, I don't know how you backpedal. I mean, I don't know if he's backpedaling. I don't know what he meant. He seems like a good dude. I don't know. Here, pan down. See what he says. Did he say anything?
See what he says.
The term America. Okay.
Let's be clear about this. I'm a proud American. Taking on the shield of the hero like Cap is the honor of a lifetime. I have the utmost respect for those who served and have served our country. Cap has universal characteristics that the people all over the world can relate to. So I guess he just misspoke because he's being pretty patriotic there.
I mean, I think I'm not going to say someone got to him, but I think when a movie's coming out and you say that, everyone's scrambling going, just go put out something that's the exact opposite.
People get in trouble. Like the guy who played the Hulk said, I don't really like heavy people. They're too hulky. And then I had to call that back. A lot of these superheroes get in trouble by not talking about their character properly.
Iron Man was against the steel industry for a long time.
Oh man. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. almost got kicked out of the guild with that, So you got to be careful when you do a Marvel comic superhero and not be
Spider-Man was anti-web.
Spider-Man was, anti-spider. He said, I love everything about Spider-Man except that he's called Spider-Man.
We got a titter out of Heather on that one. She's like, I like the premise. These aren't I know what you're doing with this. It's not like crushing.
The main thing is that people are doing other things while they're listening to this. I'm talking to you, Gardner. I'm talking to you,
I'm talking to you, Uber driver. I'll tell you something. When I did a Playboy interview back in the day when Playboy interviews were sort of a big deal, I had done a MCI commercial. That was a phone company. So it was a big national commercial. And they say, so you do collect calls because it's part of my shtick. When I used to go beep, boop, bop, boop, beep. And they go, so you use MCI when you what are you on the road and you call? I go, Well, actually, I have Sprint for that. But
Ooh.
and then Gervitz called me. Are you an idiot?
Oh.
No, just tell me. Are you an idiot? Do you understand how the world works? Did you just shit on the company that just paid you to do a commercial? I go, no, all I said was I don't use their product. He's like, yeah, that's where idiot comes in. They want their money back. I'm like, no, they don't.
Well, I did a commercial for Taco Bell and I was being interviewed and I said, I like the tacos. I never got the bell part.
Do not like
calls
it.
me. What are you doing? That's the
Are
brand.
you an idiot?
Are you an idiot? You can't make fun of the bell. It's a whole
Somebody hates money because they're going to give it back.
But really, Taco Bell? What's a Taco Bell? I don't
get it. I never got Taco Bell. I do like when Gervitz, I saw him and I had a gray sweater on. He goes, I got a sweater just like that, except mine's expensive. That's a classic Gervitz burn. Then he goes,
I had a shirt like that once. Then my mom got a job. That is from Wayne's World.
And then my mom got a job.
Yeah,
Jesus.
That was Mike's Wayne to somebody.
People don't know that the old days a good burn was get a job, dude.
Yeah.
Right?
Now it's like, get some Bitcoin, dude.
Dude,
you could get
some
rich.
alts. I'm into alts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see the next story.
I'm holding in my...
I'm holding my...
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. A Georgia man is not laughing. Okay, so he bought this drill online,
mm-hmm.
and then they sent it to him, and they just sent him that paper of picture of a drill.
Pictures worth 1,000 words.
All of these, this here from them.
But not when you ordered a drill.
Just a picture of what they sent me.
That's right. Sylvester Franklin ordered a drill from AliExpress. And what he got was a printed photo of the drill he ordered. But it gets worse.
I paid $22.97 for a pressure washer, and this is what I get.
What even is that?
This is a screw. It's a wrench to screw out the wall with.
Franklin has been going back and forth with AliExpress since he ordered the items in November, but throughout everything, still hasn't received a refund. So we started looking into AliExpress, and we found the company is a subsidiary of Alibaba, sometimes called the Amazon of China. In 2021, the Office of the United States Trade Representative added AliExpress.
Loud woman, Jesus.
Buyer beware. Wow.
AliExpress, never heard of that dog shit company. How funny. They sent me this screw. I didn't know what that screw did. It's supposed to go, I would think it's the end of your hose. You go squirt like.
And they just sent him the screw. Yeah.
And a picture of a drill.
My brother Brad Garth again. He would do scams. He would scam for that stuff. So Battle Creek, Michigan, you find the thing in the cereal box. And so what he did was normally you're supposed to send a quarter. So he did a little teeny tear in the corner and sent it. And then they assumed that someone took the quarter out of the envelope and he got the little toy anyway.
For a quarter
yeah.
He's going to heck for a quarter.
Hey man, in those days, this is you. I go back
quarters
a half step
for $12 million.
No. Listen, I remember 25-cent movies. Do you?
Mm-mm.
I remember a 15-cent McDonald's hamburger. Do
Ooh,
you?
Really?
Yeah.
No.
15 cents. And then Henry's was a hamburger joint.
I remember O. Henry candy bar, yeah.
Oh, no. It wasn't O. Henry. It was some hamburger joint that had horse meat and they got rid of it. Yeah. I think it was called Henry's. Yeah.
Baby Ruth was a candy bar.
Right. And then
not Babe Ruth.
Do you remember the three hamburgers from A&W?
Brazier Burger?
A&W? Papa Burger, Mama Burger, Teen Burger had bacon, and then the fourth one, which you would have probably loved, the Baby Burger.
Comes in the milk bottle. Add a noise. Yeah, what about the cat?
How about the dog?
You did some good coyote last week.
How?
I
don't know where the coyotes went.
Here's dogs in a dog race. No, these are dogs in the mountains, way far away.
Here's a man making a funny sound with his mouth.
I know. I'm a little rusty. I used to be able to do it. Oh, speaking of dogs, look at this. This is a channel in my trailer because my dog shit trailer, I can't get TV internet. So I found a Baywatch channel and I found, because I did Baywatch once, and I found a Letterman, not only Letterman channel, Stupid Pet Tricks only.
All right.
And which is worth it. It's one of his best things. So here's a funny dog. Just because I was bored, I saw this. I thought it was funny.
And what are you guys going to do?
She's going to play dead.
Look how cute this dog is.
And then come alive, it says here.
Yes.
Play dead. Okay, Bailey now. Bailey will play
Come on,
dead.
Bailey, you got this.
Anything, Mike?
Nothing.
Okay.
Okay. Bailey, play dead.
Wow. Oh, and then she gets a treat.
Yeah.
That's hysterical.
Non-plussed face is the funniest part.
No
Couldn't care
idea.
less.
That was good.
Play dead.
Just all bones go away.
He just
falls,
completely flops.
completely collapses.
Yeah. And keeps doing
I
it
like
to get a
the
treat.
double flop.
Oh, buddy.
That is
The floppy
funny.
ears are hilarious too. That's all.
That was great. Thank you very much, Bailey. Thank you very much, Mike. Let's take one.
That is that's one of the best stupid pet tricks.
Isn't
I've
that a
seen
great
on
one?
Letterman, yeah. The dog is just up, alert, and then completely flops for people listening
Completely
on
gives up.
the radio.
Great acting. And Letterman always goes, "What can I do to help?" And they always go, "Nothing. Just get out of the way."
Okay.
Okay, next one. That was good though.
I got that, Greg.
Good, clean fun.
Good, clean fun. Nothing, Okay,
what
another dog.
Read this. What does it say?
Watch what happens when I turn my dog's favorite show off. So the dog's watching TV,
A
cartoons.
husky.
Yeah, husky.
And the guy turns it off while he's watching.
Yeah, okay. As long as it's not too annoying.
No, it's not annoying.
What's it called?
Turns it off. They always.
Wow.
Blue, I don't know what happened.
This dog is so cute.
Blue.
He's throwing a.
He's pouting.
Yeah.
Tail's wagging, but the dog is not happy.
He looks at the remote. He knows something's up.
He knows
He's
the
like, "You're
guy
trying
has
to-"
the power and control.
Blue, I just called the network. They're not coming back on until 10 tomorrow.
Okay.
I know, that's what they said.
Very frustrated.
You can file a complaint with them. I can't help you.
Look at the comments, Dana. Look who left a comment.
Oh, this child abuse.
You've been watching for
Turn
4
that
hours
show back
and
and
you
right
get
now.
max. They
Yeah,
called me. They
that's
said you hit your max.
David
You don't
Spade.
want anymore.
I put turn on that effing
David
show
Spade.
for.
Oh, you're in there. I'm sorry, I didn't see that. David Spade, turn on the effing show for him.
Yeah, because I'm mad. I go because it ends. Okay, turn it off.
Yeah. All right. Enough of this.
But end it because I'm like, okay, now turn it on so the dog's happy, and he never turns it on. The dog's going bananas. I go, put this dog out of his goddamn misery.
What other animals can be in a room and watch television? A cat doesn't, right? I mean, a cat doesn't watch television.
I don't think so.
A turtle, maybe?
Maybe.
Probably not.
Gerbil?
Am I not turtly enough for the turtle club?
I know. People mention Turtle Club on the comments a lot.
Turtle resonated for some reason.
What if you came out after that movie and said, I don't like turtles, but I play them in the Turtle Club part?
Kevin Yeager created the design with the bald cap and the little thing on the lip, and then the whole
turtle.
Am I not turtly enough for the turtle club?
That's a good quote. I hear that quote.
Well, it's so stupid. That's why, that's why I made 100 million with video. Oops.
God dang. But who's counting?
I say with the video sales too.
Oh yeah, we used to do, not we, but the world was about do a movie, makes whatever, X, goes to HBO, gets seen again, goes to video or DVD, rack up sales and rentals. It's great. It was a great biz. It was great.
Yes. We did a tie-in with Pepsi, I think, and did a lot of...
For Turtle Club?
For Master of Disguise, yeah. You'd get a little, if you bought the... I don't know if it was a VHS or it was DVDs at that point, or if you rented them, you get a little prize or something. I don't remember. What are you looking at me for?
I know. I like it. Okay. This is a little animal heavy, this show.
I love
don't mind. It's
animals.
fun.
I want a dog.
Oh, there's another one. Oh,
Okay.
this is tied in.
Okay.
My snake learned how to play dead. Could this even work? Let's see.
Okay. The snake.
That's kind of funny.
Well,
It's not as good as Bailey.
It must be a bioevolutionary thing. It can't be trained. It doesn't think it's getting
touched.
He just touches it.
Opens his mouth and goes like,
and then pretends that it plays dead. So
falls upside down.
you can't train a snake to do that, right? Or is it just a reflex?
Dude, I got to tell you, we had a dog in the movie, and I drive around with a dog in the car. Of course, it's tricky. This dog stomped on my nutsack maybe 1,000 times. The only thing it knew how to do is pounce on my balls and then not do what it was supposed to do. So it's like, get on the dash. He runs over, wham, hits me in the nuts, and then looks out the window the other way. I'm like,
well,
Pop It. You fuck it. The dog's name was Pop It, or it was Pumpkin or something. And every time I yelled, I couldn't yell. They go, don't call him by his name. I'm like, and so I'm like, hey, fuck face. Don't keep, because I love dogs. And he just, scrappy little dog, very cute. Rumor was related to Toto. That's a horse shit.
Oh, it's that size dog stomping on you?
It's a little bigger, but enough to like use my nuts. It's like a fulcrum push off mini tramp. Every time I went to the window, nuts, window, wiener, window. And I'm like, honestly,
couldn't you wear protection? I mean,
why would I even think? I should have put a clipboard over, because every time he's over here by the window, I turn to say a line and he dives over and goes, boing. And I go, ugh. Like,
did they keep the camera rolling for that? That'll be gold.
I mean, that should be most of the movie, is just a gag reel of me going, hey, like, I would never yell at the dog. I just yelled at everyone around the dog. Oh, my nuts. Because you can, girls don't know this. You can barely touch, my buddy used to do this. He goes, if you barely touch your nuts the wrong way, you're looking for your car keys. Picture my nuts are up here. And he goes, honey, where's my, and you go, oh, call work. And you just fall to the ground, because
like
you could tap it that hard the wrong way. And you're like, see you in 20 minutes. So this dog was douche, 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 speed bag. And I'm like, I cannot. And the last one got me, and it hurt the rest of that day of shooting, my day off.
Damn.
And I still have flashbacks. I'm glad we brought that up.
Fun story, but it made a turn toward the end. It's like, I don't want to think about it.
Wait, Heather has a question. What?
When we had the major windstorm, I thought the map.
Oh, the windstorm. We were out north where that new fire was. The Eaton, what was it called?
No, we were by the Hughes fire.
The Hughes fire. And we were even not even supposed to shoot. We're like, should we go? It's 70-mile-an-hour winds. So we have a stunt, not really a stunt, but we fall in these big heavy mats.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking away, and they go, here comes a windstorm. So everyone closes their eyes, because most people are dressed like Burning Man with the goggles, and it looks like Dune. And this fucking thing blows up and nails me and knocks me back and knocks my wig off my head.
I can't wait for the gag reel. I mean, I think you're going to have like, because a 15-minute montage at the end of wigs flying off.
The gag reel is funny. Because we can't keep all the jokes in, and it just, some people don't do them. We'll definitely do one. There's a lot of good throwaway jokes too.
It doesn't have to be 90 minutes. It can be 70.
No, I know. Just keep it legal. I remember one time they go, a comedy to be legal is like 84 minutes or something.
Well, what they did with Mouse Guys, they cut it. I did an edit of it too, but then finally it ended up like 68, 70 minutes, and then 15 minutes of slow motion credits and outtakes.
Oh, just to fill it up?
Just to get the actual space.
Love it.
All right.
Okay, what's next? Then we'll wrap up soon. Oh, okay. Look at this, Dana. This would tell me if this would scare you. Pilot forgets to attach. The tourist is on the left.
Mm-hmm.
Going hang gliding. Okay, let's watch the video.
Jeez.
How long do you last? Okay, full clip. Realizes there's no attachment. Okay. Would you drop here?
No, looks too high.
I might have dropped.
Well, you're yelling at the guy, take it down, right?
So here he comes to go down. This is your chance, right?
Right.
I might have dropped even
I can't tell
there.
how high he is, though.
He'd break a leg, but I'd be so scared I couldn't hold on. Oh, get away from the trees, dude.
Well, what? He's out of control. He's out of control. He can't.
I mean, how long can you hold? And I like he's got his doofy selfie stick. Now that looks stupid.
So that he's holding with two hands kind of spread out.
Yeah,
it's like a pull up. Yeah, that's
like you're doing a pull up, which is very hard.
Guys, going.
They're getting higher.
I guess he
That's
can't. He
death
can't
from
land it.
Remember when Rambo jumped in at 3? That's that. Oh my God, is this going to work?
No. Well, what's the end of
Here's
this?
a flat piece of grass. Okay, here we go. They're going pretty quick too. Coming in hot. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, Blue is the guy that's strapped in. There's the passenger. Later. Good douche. But look at how fast they're going.
Wow. Well, they said it was, if you hang from a pull-up bar, I mean, forget the adrenal. Well, they had the adrenal thing going, but 2 minutes with fully clothed, gripping and holding under terror, that person, saved their life with that because that's hard. You got to really have a good grip to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look at me with the mic. Look at this. Look at that.
That's a grip, dude.
That's a grip.
Yeah, look at me. Oh, shit, Dana. Don't scare the audience.
So, don't be scared. I'm not going to punch you.
Audience is scared.
Nobody's scared.
Everyone on YouTube just lean back. All right, let's see. Maybe one more.
One more. Let's bring this home, man. All right.
This is a quickie. It's another animal. It's funny. It's all animals.
All animal and one human hanging.
I've never seen this. Heather, look at this snake.
Mm-hmm.
If people are scared of the snakes, I would probably think this is funny. But I'm not that scared of snakes, though.
Okay.
Hello.
Aussie farmer, Australian kangaroo snake.
Where is it? Oh, there it is. That look. Hello. Okay. The worst filming. Oh, there it is.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's cool.
So even their snakes bounce like kangaroos and down under?
Looks like snap peas.
It's an
You would not tell that from any leaf on the ground.
No. It was just a hopping little...
That was kind of cool, though. It jumped.
Yeah, you want to watch out for these kangaroo snakes.
Crikey.
Yeah, crikey. They go all jumping all whoppy whoop doop. Yep.
Not
my best. I can get the Australian accent if I watch a movie.
I did meet the croc hunter on a plane.
You did?
Probably about a year before, yeah.
The thing I loved about Crocodile Dundee was when he would go, he'd say, that's not a knife. And then he'd pull out something twice as big. Yeah. That's a knife, So I did a thing. I don't know if I mentioned this. I did a thing called Alligator McGee. I submitted it as a sketch where the guy was like, he'd have a refrigerator.
That's a stapler.
That's not a refrigerator. This a refrigerator. 10 times
Huge
bigger.
one.
Everything was gigantic. It didn't make it. Alligator McGee fade in. It didn't make it. But I thought it was funny.
Kyle MacLachlan plays Alligator McGee's sidekick.
Good reference.
I just saw the Kyle MacLachlan show clip of Bad Idea Jeans. That was probably the first commercial parody I did. Were you in Bad Idea Jeans? I know Mike was.
I think I was gone by then. Were you in Colon Blow?
No, I saw it. Yeah. That was Phil. That was one of the top 10 commercial parodies.
Yes, I remember it at the time. That was Phil.
Whoa.
On Colon Blow cereal.
It would take 1, 2, 3, nope, 400 bowls of cereal.
Bowls of cereal with Colon Blow.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, one last one, then we'll hang it. And then we'll hang it up.
All right.
This is a cruise ship. This picture, if you see this walk by, what is this? You're on a cruise ship.
Okay.
They're in white outfits with hats.
Dressed just like the KKK.
But what were they supposed? Oh, they're dressed as snow cones.
Oh, as snow cones, but it looks suspiciously.
It looks very suspicious.
It looks very suspicious to me.
Who would okay
like a Klan
this?
rally?
Exactly.
God, why did we go on the Princess Mary cruise and then we had to see the Klan walking by?
They're like, oh, at 4:00, there's a real fun Klan rally that comes by.
Mhm.
Hilarious. And then someone afterwards like, they mistook us for what? We're snow cones. It's so obvious.
So obvious we're snow cones. You could.
Well, I mean, why is everyone so weird?
Just because we have a pointy white hat on doesn't mean we're not snow cones. It's
just
stupid.
because we're exactly a KKK outfit. What's going on?
So just because we have KKK outfits on and we're marching in kind of a Hitler-esque unison way doesn't mean we're not snow cones.
Yeah. Why is everyone?
Why is everybody just conjecturing? Makes me sick.
People on cruises are weird. All right, I guess we can wrap it up.
All right.
Dana, we had a great time.
We did great. We're firing the entire country. I fired everybody today. The entire country has got to go. They can go for 7 months. I mean, he's doing so much. It's just, it's really interesting. It's great. Gotta love the guy. I said, do what I said. I gotta do it. I gotta do it.
He comes out of those starting blocks in the morning at like 4 a.m. He's like, yeah, I'm doing this. I'm going to sign this. I'm flying here. Unreal.
He does it at 2 a.m. He's making executive calls. I can't keep track of what he's doing. I'll withhold judgment, but it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
It's really exciting.
It's fun to watch.
Never boring. So,
okay,
anyway.
we'll see you next week, and thanks for checking in.
Thanks for checking in with us.
Kevin Nealon is on Fly on the Wall this week. Check him out.
Yes, the great Kevin Nolan. Mm-hmm.
This has been a presentation of Odyssey. Superfly is executive produced by Dana Carvey and David Spade, Jenna Weiss-Berman of Odyssey, Heather Santoro, and Greg Holtzman. Hope you liked it. Ooh.
The thing about Conan's someone who I've known. Boy, I remember when he and Greg Daniels came in. So I've known Conan for a long time.
There's some heavy hitters, writers on that show. Wow.
Yeah.
Greg Daniels from The Office and from King of the Hill.
Yeah, and Conan and these guys, you know, there's just, you meet a lot of Ivy League guys. Like you went to Arizona City College, right? Something.
I went to DeVry. What was it? Yeah. Barbizon School of Modeling?
Yeah. I went to San Francisco State, the Gators.
It was sort of like Harvard or
Yale.
Almost no name.
Yeah.
Because you get there and you're like, oh, you went to Harvard and you're dumb like me.
And Conan wasn't like that. I mean, Conan doesn't wear one thing. Same with Kevin Nealon. Conan does not wear the fact that he's 6'6" on his sleeve. Like there's no sense of him being a big guy. Some big guys are tall guys.
Yeah.
Like Greg Holtzman. You got to tell they're sort of carrying.
Yeah.
They're high.
Nealon's so tall too. It's embarrassing. I don't even like hanging out with tall people for real. I hate it. I was with Barkley in Arizona because Charles Barkley used to play there, and we went out one night.
Hey, yeah, Charles Barkley.
It's terrible.
So, sorry, Frank
we went out
Caliendo.
once, and I go, it's too tall. I felt a hilarious guy, but I can't look. I look shrimpy enough. I don't need it.
Well, I know what you mean. I mean, going on the Conan O'Brien show, when Conan would come out, he's standing up. Then Andy Richter would stand up. People don't realize Andy is 6'4".
Oh, really?
Conan's 6'6". So I'm like, you know, I start singing the Munchkin song or whatever.
I come in, I haven't put those little parakeet things, so I sit on top of it, so I'm really high up. Like a bird.
Oh, you do? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then I sit up and I go.
That's on your haunches. If you get on your haunches.
Yeah, I go as high as I can, and then and I sit on an apple box. But yeah, Conan's going to be great. He's a fun dude to talk to. He's easy. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to talk.
Conan is obviously, he has a huge podcast. He's a great conversationalist. We have dinner with him all the time, pre-COVID.
Remember COVID?
I know.
This podcast may cause COVID.
Hey, that's the whole idea. You go, I am so busy. It's just because of COVID. I guess I'm going to pop out a little podcast gang.
I know. You almost have to do it now. It's so sickening.
You have to do it. I met a comedian about 6 months ago. I won't mention his name, but he didn't have a podcast.
Oh,
and I go, are you shitting me?
Sad.
You do not have a podcast and you're in show business?
You know, Fallon's going to come on, by the way. I just talked to him. Schneider, Fallon.
It's
going to be great.
Fallon is the ultimate.
You better laugh at us.
Fallon is he's...
Oh, we're not doing Fallon yet. But
Conan.
Okay.
Conan has produced more funny stuff than almost anyone in the history of American comedy. If you look at all the Team Coco stuff, he kind of stayed fairly evergreen. He stayed out of the intense politicization of comedy. So everything he does is evergreen. And my wife and son are obsessed with his travel shows to the point.
That too?
Yeah, he goes around the world. It's
he went
very
to Conan,
funny.
goes to Cuba and stuff?
Yeah. And
you have to be smart. I would not know what to do over there.
They watch him over and over again, and it's pretty cool.
Well, here he is, Conan O'Brien.
I want to welcome the two comedians, entertainers, performers that I've had dinner with the most in the last, say, 7-8 years since I relocated to L.A. Conan O'Brien and David Spade. Both.
That's a high honor. Thank you.
Yeah. It was a lot of it was tedious. I'll be honest. I'm going to do the backpedaling that Conan does so well. I really, really like you, but it got a little boring.
There were
Jesus
times,
Christ.
there were gaps in the energy. Sometimes the energy would drop, and you're very restless, David.
Me? I thought you were
yeah.
going to say Dana.
No, you get up a lot. Dana's gotten a lot better. Dana used to be very hard to talk to. Kevin Nealon used to be hard to talk to, but I've been working on both of them, and we have. I actually, for the first time about a month ago, made eye contact with Kevin Nealon.
No.
And it was a huge... It just was this is something I've been working on since 1988.
Big step forward.
Yeah,
Wow.
big step forward. David, you and I don't hang as much.
No, but that's okay.
Oh,
I
you're
say
fun.
you guys together.
I say nice things about you all the time, which is rare.
Our last dinner together, I think,
Our
was
last dinner
Ted
was fun.
Sarandos. That guy runs
Yep.
something. Rob, who else? Us three, and that was it, right?
It was us three, and Ted Sarandos joined us.
Yes.
He
kept pitching me shows. I'm like, Ted, I'm trying to eat.
Just past the edamame, my God.
God,
and
damn it.
He kept
Let it
saying,
go.
Dana, whatever you want. He, at one point, held up one of those giant checks. And it was already signed, and he said, just fill in the amount. And Dana was like, I'm eating.
Like a publisher's clearinghouse
Yeah,
check.
it was-
Lovitz.
I'm John Lovitz.
Oh.
And then we're at that dinner, and who
Right.
do we
Oh,
run
that's
into?
right.
Yes, we run into Lovitz, and I love it because Lovitz always does, no matter who he's with. My favorite thing is he was once standing with this very attractive woman, and I was talking to him, and in front of the woman, he looked at her and then looked at me and went, jealous?
Jealous? Yes.
Jealous is a top 5.
It's a top 5 Lovitz,
Yeah,
but he can be
shtick.
standing with a hobo. He can be standing with a shoeless hobo, and he often is. And I'll be talking, I'll be like, oh, hey, John, how are you? And he'll go, it's my friend. He's homeless. And I'll say, oh, well, that's too bad, John. I'm sorry for it. And he'll look at the friend and then look at me and go, jealous? Like,
Yeah,
no,
never-
I'm really not jealous. No.
His big move is he gets new sunglasses or has cool sunglasses, and that sets you up. Nice sunglasses. They come down. And he
Sometimes
says,
he goes, get to know me.
Get to know me. He wanted that to be his after The Liar. He was desperate for a catchphrase, and he really was. He really. And so
I know the catchphrase. Yeah,
one of them was he really wanted to say, "So you should get to know me, and would say it's okay."
Yeah.
But
it was.
And then he had another one. Do you remember it, Dana?
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
Yes. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
But that was a good one. That was a pretty good one. The whole sketch was built around the guy saying, goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
It's really a nothing sketch just to keep getting to that.
Yes, and
loved.
he wanted another catchphrase because I think he saw merchandise and he was thinking ahead, and he didn't care what sketch you pitched him as long as it got to what's the catchphrase? Does it get to know me or goodbye everybody goodbye?
By the way, Conan, have you been in those read-throughs where
funny.
someone's jamming a catchphrase down your gullet and it's not clicking for 13 pages and everyone's dead silent? They keep doing it.
One of my favorite. I have lots of Saturday Night Live memories, and some are the ones that people most people think, oh my God, you were there when U2 played. You were there when, iconic rock bands playing.
Neil Young, Springsteen, Tom
Neil Young.
Petty.
And I've told this to Neil Young. It was the best live performance I ever saw on Saturday Night Live.
Keep on rocking in the free world.
Keep on rocking in the free world. And I've never seen anything like it. It was, it's very hard. Lauren always used to say that TV is the worst way to experience rock music. It's just
TV is
the worst way to experience rock and roll. But
don't tell our musical
The second
guests.
worst way is radio. There's all sorts of formats.
The third worst way is in live in an intimate setting. No, Lauren, that's the best.
And if
That's
you
a
have
good
a
one.
can with a string and it's to a neighbor, it's like really, really bad.
Yeah, but so anyway, he said. But that was, I don't know what Neil Young did, but he transfixed everybody. It was great.
Well,
but
Neil Young Garage Band. That's
I
what
got
pops.
Ashley Simpson anyway.
Oh, you were there for that.
No, I think I was gone, but I couldn't think. We did have a lot of good bands. I mean, we had Nirvana, we had Pearl Jam.
But people always expect that would be the memory that you would remember, that you would think of most.
Right.
Eric Clapton, and I would think, because when you're watching them rehearse, you can stand in 8H, which I know looks big on TV, but it's much smaller.
That's even cooler.
And when you're standing there at rehearsal and you're watching the greatest musicians of the 20th century perform right there, it's quite stunning. It's quite amazing. But I still think read-throughs, those are the memories that are with me the most because they contain PTSD. The ones
good and the bad.
The good and the bad. And so if you have a sketch that's killing at read-through, you're delighted. But I think they say negative impulses affect you more than positive ones.
It's like gambling.
Yeah. And also, exactly. And also, we all know you don't see the people that are laughing in the crowd. You notice the people that aren't laughing. And you guys have never had that, but trust me, it's no fun to have an audience member not laugh. Yeah, let me explain it to you. I'll draw it for you.
Sitting there, Conan, for 45 minutes, say you're not reading anything, and you know it's coming. Some are killing, some are bombing. It's just very hard to control your energy and your emotions because all of a sudden Lauren does, and in walks Conan, and then you got to be on. It's very nerve-wracking.
See, I was not a performer. I was just a writer, so I did not.
You were in some cameos.
I was in tiny things, but mostly you guys were the ones that had to be on. So the first thing you have to do when you're a writer, and one of the things that's so nerve-wracking about read-through, you've been up for 2 days, you haven't had a shower, you're completely whacked out. You've written this sketch and you desperately want it to work. The first thing you have to do is get to the performers that are in the sketch and tell them how to do the thing you want them to do. You have to tell them, obviously I'm not going to tell you if it's a church lady, I don't have to say boo to you, but
be sarcastic.
But Glenn Close. You have to say, hey, I'm going to be with 43 other writers that are going to run up to you right now and say how to do their sketch.
Yeah, exactly. But you also have to get to David and say, David, in this one, you're Cockney, but you're also kind of sarcastic. Or Dana, I've got to get to Dana and I've got to tell him really quickly, Dana, the idea in this is that you get on an elevator with Sting and this is kind of how you're doing it. It's that kind of, I recognize you.
Good,
and then,
okay. Well, how was Harvard? Then I just walk away.
Exactly. No, you were very nice. Some people were quite dismissive.
Can I just say for a second that the time before read-through, it's like Grand Central Station. People are running around. Yeah. People are trying to get the scripts together. And especially with a host, Conan, you writing for a host who's got 55 things they have to read. So you have just maybe 25 seconds to give them kind of a hint sometimes.
Yeah. And you have to get to them, and it's intimidating because sometimes they are intimidating people. It's George Steinbrenner. It's a guy who fires people for a living, and he's hosting the show that week, and you have to run up and say, you're a ballerina, and in what you do, and he just is like, get the hell out of my way.
By the way, what about in read-through? Then they look at you and you're across the table shaking your head going, you blew it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, then
they just look down.
the memories that haunt me are if you've got a sketch that all relies on one turn of phrase, and that's the moment where everyone's going to start laughing, and then everything else is funny because of that moment.
Right.
It's like you've lined up 800 dominoes. And what happens is you hit the first one, and it falls and it hits the second one, but then that one misses the third. Oh, that's the sketch. So you're 3 pages in and someone says, really? Because this restaurant sells octopus. That's supposed to be the thing that sets, and there's no laugh. And you know that everything else
rides on that.
isn't going to work. You just lit the firecracker that's supposed to set off every other firecracker and every other missile, and it goes...
Yeah,
and then it phases out.
17 pages. You kind of overwrote it.
17, the worst possible.
You look ahead, and Lauren's reading the stage direction, and it's silent. And then it's like, they all then march into the mines. They go downstairs. He repeats, this is an octopus store.
It.
Yeah, and then he starts to read faster and faster.
It's really fast and swallows the words,
And
he checks out.
Everyone in the room hates you. Everybody hates you because you've consigned them to 17 minutes of an octopus sketch, and the fuse didn't light in the first page, and you're screwed. That's what I remember more than anything.
Sweating.
Well, I was lucky enough to be on the show long enough that toward the last couple of seasons, I never wanted to peek at read-through, because one time Al Franken said to me, hey, you peeked at read-through. I did it all out at read-through, and I never got back to that. So then if you know it's on, if it's a George Senior or Churchley, then you can kind of cruise into it, not worry about it.
We'll get it there. Don't you worry.
Bonnie Turner will do something.
Yeah, that reminds me of something David told me once that I never forgot, which is I was there for David's audition for Saturday Night Live. And I remember that night very clearly because I was sitting at a table with Lauren and we were watching different people come up. And apparently, David, you were given advice by Dennis Miller, which to me sounds like terrible advice. But Dennis, just before you went on, said, just remember, you don't want to... you don't want to
too hard.
You don't want to kill too hard at your audition. And I was because
it throws a red flag.
Because and I was thinking, no, kill at your audition.
Of course.
Of course.
Kill a bit for sure. Yeah.
But what does that mean? Don't kill. I would want to.
You know what it was? It was Spudley, because he was like my favorite comic, and then he was with Brillstein, and they helped me get on this young comedian special, which Marcy Klein saw or whatever. By the way, I hired a truck to back up. I thought it'd be funny. Now it's not. There's beeping. So Marcy, everyone's there, I guess. And then Dennis comes up backstage. How you doing, Spud? And I go, I don't know, obviously shitting my pants. He goes, don't worry, man. You don't want to kill too hard. It's a red flag, some polished road hack. And I go, right. So don't do good. And then he walks away and I'm like, and they're like, and 3, 2. And so I go on. I'm like, am I not supposed to, I don't do that great. I think we all remember it was what the lesson was, I think, is they're going to look at your writing. You don't even really, I didn't realize this for a long time until I watched comics and liked them, that I could tell if someone had game when I go, oh, I like the way that joke is structured. I like the words in that one. I like whatever. And it was a little offbeat. I didn't see it coming, or it was a bit of a surprise. Even if it wouldn't work, I go, that guy's good or something. And I think that's what he meant and put it in the worst possible way. But it's like, don't kill. And I'm like, I know I want to kill. That's all you knew that would work. You do well, and then you get hired.
I think if someone comes in, this may be different than killing or not killing, but completely formed. I think if things are a little fragmented and not fully formed, then Lauren and the staff will go, which piece of clay we can play with. We'll develop it, as opposed to being completely locked into your thing.
Right. It gives them a place to go. No, I see what Dennis was trying to say.
Yeah.
But if I was going out to audition and the last thing I heard was "Don't kill too hard," I'd be
confused.
Sabotage
or something.
Also, I always.
But it wasn't.
Dennis and I. Subsequently, every time I bump into Dennis or talk to him, he's delightful. But back in the 80s, I think he he just had that kind of cha-cha way of going at people.
Sammy Davis Jr.
Yeah, but it's almost, and so I think for some reason, I remember I was quiet at Saturday Night Live for a long time. I'd be funny around the writers, and then when the performers would come around, I'd get real quiet, or if Lauren's there, I'd just listen, and I didn't shoot my mouth off. But I remembered, and for some reason, maybe, I don't know, Dennis, I just feel like there was a period of time where he just thought, I don't know about this Conzi guy, So I remembered one time I said something, and we were over by the craft service table that leads into 8H, where the food is, and I'm standing there by the food, and I'm 23, 24-year-old string bean, and Dennis said something, and I went, yeah, well, blah blah blah. I just said something, and he took it the wrong way. He thought that I had taken I had dissed him some way, and I'll never forget what he said. He went, "Oh, so Conzi takes a shot at Den Den," and I'm like, "What?" And he went,
he's Betty Davis now.
Yeah, I know. Conzi took a shot at Den Den.
It's gonna be a rough. Fasten your seatbelt.
Fasten your seatbelt. Gonna be a bumpy ride for Coco in the next couple of months with Den Den on his ass. And I just thought, no. I didn't. Well, okay. The guns have been drawn. We'll see how this plays out.
Okay, Corral. All right. Hey, Spudleys, don't go out as Dickie Pryor. No one expects Sam Kennison. Land the couple and get out. Okay, that's all it's about. Don't kill too hard because they'll resent you. I'm going to a theater.
Hey,
He's always dressed to go to a Broadway show.
D material. Spud, go out there and eat it. Now, I like that I explained to the guy from Harvard what Dennis meant. I feel bad about that now.
The Conan, guy from Harvard, is that Conan?
Yeah. I love that that's what I'm reduced to this day.
I thought it was Yale. Conan, did you notice in read-throughs, because I went to community college, San Francisco State, and once in a while, it'd be a Jack Handy sketch or something, and I would mispronounce a word, and I would hear little pockets, Yale, Brown, Cornell, Harvard, just little giggles. Probably that didn't happen, but I definitely felt my lack of education. Like, I can talk to you about, the Third Reich or the, French Revolution, and it does seem like people who are highly educated have a bigger palate.
No, I think that's in your head. I really do think that's in your head.
Well, I think I'm as smart as them.
He never talks to me about that, Conan. He talks to me about the good dumb stuff so I can understand it.
That's right. Well, you call it the third rich. You didn't understand.
It's one of those things, Conan, that I probably perceived once and didn't happen again. But.
Well, that's the other thing too. Is if I could change one thing about. If I could change one thing, it would be that nobody knew where I went to college, because you guys know me. I don't think that's where my sense of humor comes from. I think I'm, and I think there were times when people were like, "Oh, Harvard guy,
Christ sakes,
Ivy
League.
Yeah, Harvard guy over here." And you'd think, well, okay, it's not Hogwarts. It's not a magical place. It's a school. And I met some really smart people there. I also met some pretty dumb people there.
Well, I think it's because you were president of the National Lampoon.
Harvard Lampoon, yeah.
Harvard National Lampoon. And you were elected 2 years in a row. I saw some notes about that. So I think it wasn't just the Harvard. It was that embedded it.
Yeah, I was.
But I don't consider you wearing your intellect on your sleeve at all.
No, I try to. I do my best to hide it. It's something.
What about that sweatshirt that said "I'm the best of the best"? Was that a gift?
I thought that was ironic. And I think
what about that sweatshirt that said "Got Mensa" that you used to wear?
I took a Mensa test, by the way, because my stepdad thought I was so smart, and I got the results. He goes, "You know what? This is stupid." He crumpled it up. I'm like, oh.
You know what? I think the mistake I made is when I showed up at Saturday Night Live, I was wearing the mortarboard on your head that you wear at graduation, and I walked around with a tassel and a diploma.
What the fuck's a mortarboard?
That's the thing that you wear on your head at graduation.
The flat thing?
You know,
Yes.
I didn't know it's called a mortarboard.
Jesus
But
Christ.
David, you had a
us.
semester at Arizona State
Fucking
Community
the
College.
mortarboard diaries. You did go to Hogwarts.
David, did you go to college at all, Mr. Spade?
You know what, Dana? I have
I'm
14
asking you a
credits in
direct question.
anthropology. Yeah, I went to Scottsdale Community, which is basically
the
high school
Tigers.
plus, and the artichokes. And then I went to Arizona State. By the way, Scottsdale was like my warm up for ASU, and I go, I'll just cruise through this. And then I was like, wait, this is hard. Now I got to go to a fucking ASU after this. This is supposed to be the layup. And then I got to ASU, and I was in a fraternity. And I have to say, and all the fraternity guys get mad at me, but I just don't think fraternities are a good idea in general. It was,
they're evil.
It was 90% hazing and pouring paprika on my head and spray painting my body.
Also, David, you're a fragile flower.
Fragile.
I think of them
Dandelion.
making you do a keg stand and drink 6 quarts of vodka, and I think you would die immediately. I think you would. I think you would die the second they had you do anything. I can't believe
they
you
would
survived
use
that.
you as a prop to beat up the captain of the football team.
I know that Dana and Conan know I'm a fragile dandelion, and then I go, well, at least it's within my tight friend group. And then I realize, like, I come off the world like some fucking hard ass athlete. But the world just kind of knows I am. I sit funny on Ellen. They're like right away going, what's happening?
On your haunches.
I sit on my knees.
Yeah,
my
you sit on your
neck's all
knees
fucked up.
at the restaurant we were at. You were sitting on your knees a lot, and you'd get up and you'd walk around,
stretch out. Yeah,
you were on a lot. You were doing a lot of cocaine at the restaurant.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah,
I had cocaine mixed with the second booster.
I did not do well with cocaine. I did it once.
Dana, that's too bad.
Then
what
I
happened?
burst into tears like a half hour later. Then I did it the second time, drove to the comedy club and said, "What? They all hate me. All the other everyone hates me." And I drove back home. That was
Jeez,
so I only did it twice.
Druggie.
Yeah, I look at both of you, and I'm going to include myself in this. I'm going to look at all three of us because I never did it, and I always just knew I am not the personality type that needs to be artificially revved up.
Yeah, that you need to calm down.
I saw a doctor. I mean, you guys saw me at SNL, and I was always grinding my hands together, practically starting a fire with my knuckles.
And the Conan show, you would, or late night, you would ride a bicycle
like
to
this.
get your
and I would grind my hands together and grind my teeth and shatter them because I was so uptight. And the last thing in the world, no one's ever said, you know what you need, man? You need some cocaine. No one's ever said that to me. And
Conan, just to for sure interrupt you. Sorry, we're new at this, but when I was in community college, this comedian gave me a few bumps. I'm using street lingo right now.
Cocaine line.
Yeah. He bumped me up a little bit, a little sniffy jiffy, a little power flower, and so I'd do it, and then I liked it. I never did it before stage, but I liked it, and then I thought he did it was cool, and I was a little bit of a Count Gacula there for a while, and then I slowed down in college. But when I got to SNL, the only time I should be doing it because I had to stay up all night, I never did it once, and I thought, I always regret that. No, I'm kidding. But I always thought, wouldn't that be the time to be like, because I'd be like, yawn. I would I'd make myself get up at 9:30 just because I thought it was so weird to stay up all night every night. I wasn't used to it. And I'm like, this is so weird to be in New York. And I wanted some semblance of anything normal. And it was very hard to go in and I don't think people at home know. They always hear you write, Tuesday night all night. But you're allowed to go in at noon and write. It just, no one really does it.
No,
and I would write.
That is a completely messed up thing. And I've interviewed, current cast members, and I'll say, do you really still, that thing where you come in on Tuesday and everyone stays up until Wednesday night, you don't still do that, do you? And they'll say, yeah, it's kind of still there. And there are all these rumors that it started in the 70s, and obviously
it hasn't changed at all.
And people were doing cocaine. Now, the group that I came in with, Greg Daniels and Bob Odenkirk and Robert Smigel, we were all getting our cholesterol checked. We weren't guys that were, hey, how do we score something?
No, we weren't partying either.
None of us were, and clearly. There are famous cast members that did, but for the most part, it was a very I remember going into Tom Davis's office once, and at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and he had a bottle. Got a hilarious guy and
sweet,
wonderfully
man.
sweet guy.
Yeah.
But he had a bottle of red wine on his desk, and he was drinking red wine at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I remember being scandalized. And red wine is nothing. I was like, what?
It was like Mad Men, if you know the reference. Just let's have a little Tom Collins or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't.
10 a.m.
We were not those people, but we still stayed up for whatever it was, 35 hours in a row, because that was ingrained. It had been institutionalized in 75.
That meant you care. That means you're working hard.
Schneider loved it. Schneider would stay up and he'd wear his boxers, and I'd go, "That's enough."
But let me ask you a question, Conan. Or do you have a story there, David? Sorry.
No, just that we would write, and I would go home because I wanted to. And Conan, I don't think people know. Also, when you're writing on a legal pad, you can't. The girls were like Mad Men. They were typing up 4 girls in a room. Remember Claire and everyone? They'd type up and a sketch, and I didn't know how to write sketch format, so I'd write it out with this guy says this and do it as close as I could. And put a little stage direction. And then I'd go home and then I'd finish it or something, and I'd have to drive a cab back to hand it in. Then I cab back home to sleep 2 hours, then come back. It was such a weird process, but I couldn't email stuff in. That would have been fucking great. And then they would do it for me, and sometimes they would do it a little wrong, because you want to go over it one more time, but you have to drive in to go over it again before it went in the packet for read through. And sometimes a little teensy mistake like that would, like you said, screw everything up.
Let me ask Conan a question. I just want, because you were there as a writer. To me, as a cast member going through, I remember on Tuesday early evening, the writers are hanging out in the writer's room. A lot of food's being ordered. And a lot of talk about sports, anything but the task at hand.
Anything but, you're right.
And then there's this hours and hours of just subconscious work, I guess, and pressure. Because sometimes I would leave as a baby at 3 a.m. And you guys would still be there leaning back in your chairs, picking on some, tacos or whatever. And then I find out later they got done. But I mean... What did you think about that 6 hours Tuesday evening that was
those are the dark times. I would get very, very
like I got nothing's happening.
I got nothing, and I shouldn't be doing this for a living, and I'm a fraud. Seriously, I would have some kind of, I would say at least on any second. Not every week, every Tuesday night that I was writing, but I'd say at least 50% of them I'd have a profound collapse, mental collapse, because what happens is you hear people, everyone else has a good idea, and you hear Franken laughing, and you hear big gales of laughter coming from other rooms, and I remember very much, sometimes thinking, this isn't what I'm supposed to do. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And then you snap out of it. But a lot of waiting for the commissary to open so you could get breakfast, and it would open at like 7 o'clock in the morning. And that's when you could go and get, a bagel with some bacon on it and drink a cup of coffee. It was really,
But Conan, do you ever say in your head, like I used to think, I don't think of it then, but what are the chances you're going to think of a bit every week, a sketch that everyone will talk about? It's just such an impossibility. Sometimes I would jump on with someone that had a good idea and they needed help, and I'll write it with you just to get my name on something because I wanted to feel useful there, not get fired. But I would blank out. I'd also hear Smigel and Sandler cracking up in the office next to mine. It was connected to mine. I'd be like, fuck, I'm so jealous. They're killing it.
Sandler was a guy who most people, when they show up, are somewhat nervous. And I remember, David, you like walking office to office and saying, "Hey guys, what are you guys working on?" And I remembered very well Chris Rock, because he showed up when I was there, and when he was very quiet.
He's a very sweet guy.
Very sweet, very quiet, and not the Chris Rock that
on stage
that people see on stage. Who is the most confident man in the world? He's kind of asking, I don't know, what are you guys working on? Yeah, I don't really know. And that was the energy people had. Sandler the second he showed up, was just so happy and enthusiastic about everything. And he'd be like, oh, let's get milkshakes. Let's get milkshakes. Yeah. And he would be doing bits and just laughing his ass off. And I thought he's so comfortable
He's
immediately.
kind of confident about it. Yeah.
Yeah, he was so confident that I think he was one of those guys who was like, I'm going to be a big star and let's get started. This is going to be fun.
It's almost like it wasn't even a possibility that he wouldn't be, because everything was clicking so fast. Like people, Smigel, Downey, me, you guys, we'd all laugh at what he's doing. And it was so different and off what I would think about in my own head that I was like, wow, that's cool. He's got this whole persona, and then they throw it into Iraqi Pete, or they throw it into some bit, you know, and you'd see pieces of it, and then you go, shit, they're buying it. They're buying it more and more. And he just go, I'm going to write an update. I'm going to write a song. I'm going to write another update, and just keep going. And they were working.
But he did have a period where there was, I think he was inevitable and really confident, but he did have a period where he was, not sure if I remember it correctly, but I think at one point Lauren will kind of feel someone out. Dana, Adam, what do you think that's going to do? Because when Adam first came out with it didn't always kill. Right. And I remember one time in the hallway near the makeup room, I had an office over there on 8H, and I came out in the hallway, and he was leaning back against this was not normal Adam. He looked emotional and almost like he was going to cry. Yeah. Because his sketch had gotten cut. And as I remember, I gave him a pep talk. He never forgot that. But he did... he was 23 when he got the show.
But also remember, I don't think people at the network weren't thrilled. And that's another thing. Yeah, what happens is that there's revisionist history. What happens, later on. Now everybody loves Norm, but they really didn't. He got fired, and Adam, there were people at the network that really weren't supportive of Adam.
Didn't get him. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Lauren was probably get some pressure, like, what's with the Adam guy? And you think, it's just so funny how later on, to anyone listening right now, everything seems inevitable.
Yeah.
Everything seems, it's the way people read history. They read history and they think, well, of course, Franklin Roosevelt became president because he's Franklin Roosevelt. And of course, he was president like 4 times. No, it's not inevitable. It can go a million different ways. And at the time, there are a lot of people, who are later on, I remember Farley, I was there when he was waiting outside Lauren's office to get his interview, and Lauren had him waiting for like 2 days. And I was just talking to Farley and joking, doing bits with him. And at one point I took him around I took him around 8H, and I was pretending that I was a big shot and saying like, and so there'd be a crane that was already going up, and I'd be like, Joe, get that crane up. And the crane would be going up anyway. And I was goofing around with Farley.
He would laugh.
And he was laughing so hard. He was such a immediately great, sweet guy. But, I think when he first came on, he was nervous, and I remembered it really turning around when I think Jim Downey wrote the Chippendale sketch, and suddenly it's he's
with Patrick Swayze.
And it's this.
That was one of the top ever. Knowing right off the bat, like standing 10 feet away, going, "This is like one for the books."
Yeah. This is. And you knew just this is. I want to be on the floor when that thing happens because that's going to be a tsunami.
To be a big guy like Chris was at that point, and he was so athletic and so physical, and to see a guy his weight move like that, and so it just blew the roof off. Back to misunderstanding Sandler for a second. I remember Sandy Warnick, his manager at the time, and he said, he's such a good-looking kid. I don't know why he does all that goofy stuff. So you're right. He
did have the girls right away.
But you know what's interesting about Adam? Adam said this to me once.
I mean, they liked him.
Yes.
One of the things that fascinated me.
He pulled me aside. He said, "Conan, I do you wee."
That means
so
I
funny
like you. Let's get lunch.
It's so funny because he lives right up the street, and he comes by my house, and he'll shout outside the house, "Coney, Coney!" And
he's got the best yell voice too.
But I guess one of the things that he said this to me, and it really fascinated me. I asked him who his idol was at the time, and I thought it was going to be a comedy person. And he looked at me and he said, James Caan. And I was like, James Caan? James Caan, the
Sonny and Godfather?
Yeah. And then I saw it, which is Adam has that, he can channel that. He has that, and from his dramatic roles, he can kill it. He can lock eyes with somebody. He can sell it. He has that energy.
He has a tough guy energy too.
He has a tough guy energy, and
definitely.
He's doing all this stuff that I can kind of see what Sandy Wernick's talking about, which is he probably thought, here's this good-looking kid with real acting chops. Mm-hmm. And why is he dressed like a baby going, and it's, but Adam knew what he was doing.
I remember Adam when he was he'd not done a movie yet. He was starting to do well in the show. And I remember him saying, I love Smigel. I'm going to put him in all my movies. Mm-hmm. I remember thinking, wow, all your movies, 100% how many?
True.
Oh, about 70. I'm like, what?
But Conan, you were saying when you see him in the hallway standing there, we've all been there where you go, you're newer and everything hasn't clicked for him yet. And he's probably in his head going, what am I doing? Am I any good? Is this shit too weird?
Right,
am I as good as these guys?
Everybody has that. I think about this sometimes with Saturday Night Live today, which is I'm always grateful that things happen to me when they happen to me. When you think about it, our staff, especially when I first showed up, the staff we were working with was really small. By today's standards, it was when I first showed up. It's there's and I've seen group pictures of the staff, and it's Dana, Phil, Kevin, Jan, Nora, Victoria.
Or something.
There's 7 of you, and John Lovitz, and you think it really does look like the cast of Gilligan's Island, and that was the entire cast. And I think in a way, everybody was in almost everything because they had to be.
Yeah, you were constantly in the show.
And now I am always, hearing about, there's, Cecily Strong, Bowen Yanks. You'd be like, great, I got it. But then you realize there's 35 other people. And that with that many staff, I think it would be hard. I think must be more challenging for the writers. And can you imagine being on that staff now? And thinking, how do I get on the air? And also, they have guest stars now. We would do that once in a blue moon, but
Dan Aykroyd came in and did Bob Dole, and that was like a big thing.
I would have been livid as a cast member. Just think, Conan, when we were there, we were sort of overlapping with Dana and Dennis and Lovitz, and when we all came in, and it was pretty full then. And also, Franken was available. There's a lot of people that do stuff, and it's hard to. I don't even know what the fuck.
Well, no, it's hard. It's harder. It's hard to pop, and it's I think if you're playing on a basketball game and there's 35 benches and 12 players on each bench, your chances of getting in the game are I would think be much tougher.
You can't beat down the innate fear and terror and uncomfortableness of doing that show unless you get on air. It's very hard to get, because how do you try not to try? And it took me 80 shows, I think, to get out of my head,
Right. And I think that's why, and clearly they keep finding really great, talented people. But I would think it would be so much harder if you haven't found your foothold right away. If you haven't found your niche right away, I would imagine it being. I would feel for a cast member now because I think, man, that's a challenge to pop.
You have to have a clear niche. Like if we have, I was sort of sarcastic, Chris was this, Adam was doing this. So at least you have that. Then you sort of go, oh, I'm not just a one-trick pony. Anyway, long story short, I am. But at the time, I wasn't.
So was Johnny Carson.
I was like, I can do other stuff. And then they go, okay, what? And I go, I don't know. But maybe for the writers, it might be easier because you have more people to cast. But it's also hard in a new world to say, can Dana play a girl? No, you can't do that. Or if you're Asian, if you're Korean, are you allowed to play Japanese? Like there's a new world where things are offensive. And on a show like SNL, are you still allowed to be goofy and do impressions? And they must have one more.
There's stuff I was involved in that could never be on today. I don't even want to mention it, but it was the sketch. At one point, we had Candace Bergen on, and she kind of talked about how it was, maybe a little not politically correct. But do you guys think that, like Saturday Night Live today, it's easy to get into grumpy old man-itis, like, oh, we did it this way? Because I remember running into Sid Caesar in an airport, and I could tell he was sort of bitter that it's not, SNL's not that good. We did it better. Is art always just built for its time? I mean, my father just hated the Beatles and then loved them later. It's just kind of an interesting idea of like, is art always Andy Warhol in 1962 or whatever? Saturday Night Live is exactly where it's supposed to be culturally, or do you have any issues with it?
I made a promise to myself a long time ago.
Judging.
I made a promise that there are things I'm going to get and things I'm not going to get, but that be happy. I'm very happy that I got to do what I got to do at the time that I got to do it. Mm-hmm. And I make a real effort. There are some things I don't understand, or there'll be something that people really love that doesn't click with me. But I think for the most part, if something's getting a lot of likes, if something's getting a lot of traction online, and I look it up and it's something from a recent Saturday Night Live, I'll look it up and it's Chris Redd doing Kanye, and I'll be like, oh, that's really funny. That is, if something's getting traction, it's usually for a reason. And yes, there's a lot that can be different about the show now, but I do very much try and remind myself that it's not worse or better. It's just different. It's just completely different
Steve
time.
Higgins told me that, I don't know if he just said that Lorne wrote the Constitution. This is his words. And then it sort of evolves. It's a living document in a sense. Mm-hmm. And so today, it is what it is. But you're right. I think funny is still funny.
It's so funny though. And now the thing now that I totally was not happening when I was there. This business of writers dating movie stars and marrying them. And I just think about, wouldn't that be really funny if I can picture me and Greg Daniels and Robert Smigel in 1989, if
Candy Bergen.
If I was walking around and
it's amazing.
I had Madonna on my arm and I was like, guys, please let me in the restaurant. Where, and people were like, Conan, this way, Madonna, and it's just like, it's so funny. And I'm picturing,
she's bragging about a cold opening you wrote.
Yeah, exactly. And nerdy me and nerdy Greg Daniels, and he's got, Melanie Griffith on his arm, and he's like, please, move aside. I remember, I think it was for the movie Sex, Lies, and Videotape. I think Andie MacDowell was on the show.
Ooh.
And she's,
I heard this one.
She's so gorgeous. And it was my birthday. And I didn't even know how she knew, but I was back in my office grinding away. And all of a sudden the door opened and she walked in with a
grinding
cake
away.
She walked in with a cake with candles on it and sang happy birthday and like gave me a hug. And my soul left my body and never came back. I'm soulless. I've never had a soul in my body since that moment.
We didn't do drugs. We didn't have women. We just were there all night.
That's my racy story, is that Andy McDowell very sweetly blew out the birthday candles on my cake, and wasn't that a nice memory? I wasn't sleeping with anyone famous. I wasn't being hounded by the paparazzi. So that's a world. That's a way that Saturday Night Live has changed, where the third assistant director on the show is going out with Megan Thee Stallion.
But we had our work in front of us,
Megan
and then
Thee
we were
Stallion,
behind the
of all people.
facade. But it seems to me that fame is talent now. Like you can be critical or judgmental. This person's advocating fame or procuring fame, but it's its own talent and it's its own power. I don't know. But that would make. I mean, I don't want to judge it. It just seems like it's.
I think you just did. Doodle-doo.
Yeah. About the new changes, they can miss a lot of shows. Like Conan, you weren't allowed to miss shows. No one's allowed to miss anything.
Yeah.
This is a grumpy old man thing for sure. But I was jealous that I found out, people would take huge chunks of time off if they felt like it.
They could shoot a movie or something. Well, that was one of the things that's kind of mind-boggling now is the show starts in October of 75, and immediately Chevy Chase becomes the biggest star in America. And like a year later, he says, well, it's either continue doing Saturday Night Live or make a movie. I guess I got to go make this movie, so goodbye Saturday Night Live. And you think, no, that's not what you... Now it's a different world. Now it's go make your movie and then come back. You can do both.
And do commercials. It's incredible.
Exactly. So I think there was clearly a different... I almost think the rules were different, or people didn't...
I couldn't do a Super Bowl commercial when I was 2-3 years in. They just said no. I didn't even know they could, but that was part of my deal.
Were you offered one, or you asked to do a Super Bowl commercial, and all the
I had some good
companies
ideas for
said
them.
no?
I had a good idea.
Your agent called
It'd be funny if I was in one.
You kept...
No, I got a Diet Pepsi, and it was good money. Obviously, I was going to say, I didn't know what you made when you started. I think I got $900 a week to write, and the Pepsi commercial I think was $250,000, and then it trickled back down to me. They say that's not what we do or something, and I'm like,
that's not what we do.
You got a mouse in your pocket?
We don't make money for working 6 hours.
It was a real crusher because I wasn't getting on much. I didn't even know if I had a future there, and I thought, wow, at least I'll get one click off this. And luckily, I hung in there. But I mean, luckily, I stayed and worked and ultimately made some money. But that was a real.
We didn't do it. I was offered a giant Taco Bell thing right as I came off.
I was offered
SNL.
a giant taco once.
So, and I asked Conan, should I do the Taco Bell commercial? I told him the number, and he said, absolutely not. I'll never forget that.
Conan killed it?
Yeah, I had that kind of power back then.
Don't you love it when people say, this is what you said? I had a guy do stuff I said in 1979. And I remember you said that you were going there. And then I remember, I was like, 45 years ago, you get to decide what I said?
You know what's so funny? What happens once you become a known person is that other people add you into stories that you weren't in the first place because it makes it a better story.
Funny.
So I went back to I went back to a reunion once at my high school. And this guy there was like, "Hey, Conan, remember, back in the,
I remember when you,
And he was like, we had some crazy times. And I was like, I was thinking, I don't even know who this guy is. And then he said, hey, remember the time you and I broke into Stephen's Market? We broke into Stephen's Market and we stole all those beers, but the cops showed up, so we went out the back. And you went left and I went right and I got nabbed. And you took the beers, you fucker. But I didn't squeal on you. And you know what? I didn't drink until I was like 28. I've never committed a crime in my life. I didn't break into a liquor store.
That story's on heavy rotation,
but the thing
too.
is, what happens after a while is you get tired saying no. You did that with someone else, but it's been a lot of years and a lot of beers since then, and then
years and beers.
And so you added
my autobiography.
You added me in, and I started to think, gee, I don't know. It's made me read history differently. Like when I read a history book now, and they say, Lincoln. I remember a firsthand account. I remember Lincoln once. I said to him, something, and he said, "What's that?" And he knocked me right on my ass. And then I stood up and I knocked him on his ass. And he said, "You're a better man than I." And I think, I don't think any of that happened. I think you just added Abraham Lincoln to your story.
I was at a restaurant early 1980s. I saw the guy doing that to Jimmy Stewart. And I could tell that Jimmy Stewart was getting really impatient. And remember that time, in high school, we did this, call it the same old thing. And Stewart stood up and said, I don't understand a fucking word you're saying.
Is that true?
No, I just did that so I could get to Stewart swearing.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, that was a good one. A good scenario, though.
I wanted to believe that was true.
I wanted to believe it. I set you up.
Yeah.
By the way, Conan was nice to me when I got there.
Nice?
Conan, I have to make sure I tell everybody. No, Conan, I'm sure you can be a prick. I don't see it.
Conan's a sensitive person.
I was there, and Conan said, as a hazing, this was right before Conan dyed his hair red. He said, "Go out and get me some hair dye." And you, Sandler, and Schneider. And by the way, Conan, did you ever... this is a weird question. Does Jack Handy ever collaborate with the other writers, or he always wrote it by himself?
I think he maybe collaborated somewhat, but Jack Handy was stunning because he could go off.
Talk about nice guys.
Very
what a
nice
genius
guy, but
and
also...
a nice
I always envied him because he didn't need anybody else, and
Nothing.
he would go in his room, nicest guy, and then you'd hear like typing, and then he'd come out and he'd say, "Well, good night, everybody," and we'd say, "All right, sucker, we're going to be here for another 9 hours," and the next morning, his sketch is the funniest thing. His sketches killed, I would say, 95% of the time. And
it was an unreal slugging percentage. I would be baffled because I'm already just a newer writer, learning how to write sketches, trying not to read through. And then knowing the level when I look back of all you guys who was so much quality there, and then seeing like a Jack Handy sketch, which just is another move, not like better or worse, just like so smart and twisty. And you go, what is he talking about? And he was like a mad scientist. He'd go in there and no one would bump with it. You're not going to bump with the buggy sketch.
He had this idea once, and to me, it was always the simplicity of the idea that would make me think, why didn't I think of that? But his ideas were so elegant and so different. I actually got to be in this sketch. I'm there in the background, and if you blink, you'll miss me. But it's James Bond's, James Bond always makes his way to the doctor, Dr. Knows.
James, it's a lair.
It's a lair. He always gets to the lair and shows up. And the lair is always the most amazing thing you've ever seen. And the guy is like, "Welcome, Mr. Bond." Well, this is James Bond shows up at the lair, but the lair still has 3 months to go before they're done working on it.
Crews there,
And so there's a lot of construction going on. And so Dr. No is really pissed because he's like, "Mr. Bond, we're not done yet." And he was like, "Well, so sorry, Blofeld," or whatever the evil guy's name is. "So sorry, Blofeld. Sorry to crash your party." He goes, well, let me show you. Now, Mr. Bond, if you were to be here 4 months from now, I'd have led you over to this. This is going to be a tank with sharks. Now, right now, they're still setting the forms. The cement's coming in a week, and everything was. And over here, there's going to be a laser, and Bond's giving him shit, and I thought, oh my God, of course these layers have to be built, and Bond is always showing up 6 months after it's been finished, and it looks fantastic.
It's working perfectly.
Of course, he would show up while they're halfway through. And it was great. It was great.
You guys, obviously, like his runners that were big were Frozen Caveman Lawyer with Phil. Toots is the cat. One of the weirder ones I remember, maybe you remember it, but it was something about people talking to aliens, and they were high up on this thing, and somehow the aliens only wanted to talk about box office receipts of current movies. And it went on and on. The one that I had with Christopher Walken that I believe it was Jack Handy wrote, is we're landing on Earth, and every time the landing gear would come down, it would like kill a farmer or something. So we would come out and we'd be like, we come in peace, you know, and they'd be like, killers. And then Walken would always go, let's get out of here. And then we'd go back and then we would land again. It would kill a farmer. We'd come out. Yeah, let's get out of here.
Couldn't catch
and
a
then
break.
Suddenly Chris and I are in this little tight wooden structure like a spacecraft. His face is an inch from my face, just crying with laughter from let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here.
Now. Okay. That's all I got.
My question would be, and you guys could answer this better than I could, which is why I'm asking you, which hosts, when you were there, really made an impression on you, either positively or negatively? Because it's such a strange thing that someone's introduced to your life, they show up on Monday night, and by the time you get to the show party on Saturday, you've been through this intense experience with them, and then they get spit out. And yeah, with hosts like, you know, with a host like an Alec Baldwin or a Tom Hanks or a Christopher Walken, you know they're coming back in a year, but so often you never see that person again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Steve Guttenberg, you know, I remember he had a good show, but I don't think he ever came back. I do think that the athletes, Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky were big, and the older movie stars, for me, this is back in first season, I think. It was a Jack Handy sketch. Robert Mitchum and I were in a sketch together, and neither of us knew what the sketch was about. We were beekeepers or something. So and Charlton Heston. I mean, those were the more surreal ones.
Well, also, I mean, to me, and this was true when I was doing the late night show, anytime I got to interact with someone who had been on TV or the movies when I was a kid, that blew my mind. So if, you know,
totally,
you know, I remember in the hallway chatting with Mickey Rooney, and Mickey Rooney, there was a garment rack there, you know, that you can hang, and Mickey Rooney was very short, and he jumped up while he was talking to me and grabbed the bars of the garment rack and started doing chin-ups as he was talking to me, and then swinging kind of like a monkey. And and he's like, you know, and I remember telling my dad, I hung out today with Mickey Rooney, and my dad couldn't process it because my dad was born in 1929. So
and Mickey was huge when he was 10 then.
Biggest star in the world.
So when when my dad's 11, the biggest name in the world is Mickey Rooney.
Yes.
And there's no bigger star in the world,
as he liked telling us.
So when I call my dad and I was hanging out with them, but then I had to tell him, Mickey, I got to go. We got to start the show. And so I blew him off. He just couldn't comprehend. Why would Mickey Rooney talk to you? You know? And
I had the same thing, but go ahead, finish that.
No. It's me throwing it to you guys, saying you guys got to meet and work with these people more closely than I did. I was a writer.
Conan and I have one too, where you were there. One of my rock stars was of my life was Bowie, and then he was music with Tin Machine. And I told Dana, but you were there during my first receptionist was a sketch I couldn't get on, and then we sent it to Bowie to be himself and come in, and then I don't know who he is, whatever the hilarious jokes are, and then we sent it to him at a Boston hotel, and then Marcy goes, call David Bowie, he's looking for you. I go, call David Bowie.
Right.
You know, those kind of things. I think it was on a yellow piece of paper, and it was in my box when I walked into work, and you pull it out. It says, David Bowie, here's his fake name, the NBC. You know that stuff you get when you get messages? Right. And I was so sick, nervous, and I called him, and he picked up, gave the fake name, then he picked up, and then he's like, oh, this is the funniest sketch. I'd love to be in it. And I go, thanks. He goes, but can I play your part?
Oh.
And I go, oh, the receptionist? He goes, that's the funny part. Well, I mean, me playing myself is boring. I mean, you could play me, and I'll play your part. And I go, I don't think I can do that. It was so weird.
Oh, so you had to say no.
And then he was weird about it. And then he didn't like it. He goes, all right, well, I'll see you at the show.
Wow.
And I go, and he hung up. And then, like you were saying just about that week, first I get to meet an idol. I don't think I knew him. Maybe I knew him. I met him once or twice before that. And then I come back and now here are the good nights. I see him and I know there was some friction.
Yeah.
Now I met Bowie and there's friction. Some stormy past. So then when he leaves Good Nights, he goes, "Hey, I didn't really get what was going on. That's like a running sketch." And I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said
nice that he said that. I'm glad.
Yes.
Because my experiences with him were that he was such a gentleman, and so I get that he didn't know that it was a runner. That you can't call Dana, and say, "I'll do George Bush." And
I'll do Garth. Can I do
you
Garth
be the guy who comes into the room with the sandwich.
Right. And it was one of those lessons of like, first of all, don't give a host nothing. There was things, they'd say, what does the host do in this? And, you got to give them something to do. They won't pick the sketch if it's all you and they don't do anything, and that kind of thing. So that was a classic example. He just goes, that's not fun for me. And I got it. It was all selfish. I wanted him to be my sketch and I wanted to.
You have regret of things you say and it would bother you for a while and then later on you realize it was nothing? Because when Sting was on the show, we were coming down the elevator at the end of the show and I was hyped up because it was Sting and we came out and there were all the people waiting at the bottom of the elevator like a big mob. Yeah. So I put my arm around Sting and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, Sting." And then he grabbed me and kind of went, with anger. So for years, I thought he was mad at me, until I ran into him later. It would go through my head sometime. The only other funny moment, well, go ahead, comment on that. Did you ever have your moment?
Was he thinking he didn't want to bring it up? Like he's getting enough attention.
I think it was obnoxious. You get nervous around famous people and you can say or do stupid things. Conan?
For sure.
Yeah, I definitely. But the thing is, that's in your head, and you're talking about it all these years later, and Sting forgot about it seconds after it happened. And I've had, after all those years of doing the late night shows,
regret.
I've had people come up to me and say, "Hey, I owe you an apology," and then they'll apologize, and they'll say, I wasn't really prepared, or I had a little too much to drink before I came on, and I know it was like, and they'll say like, "I know you were really mad," and
I know you were so mad about that.
I don't have any memory of it, and I don't think. No, I'm not mad at you, and I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I've had that.
So, and then they're really relieved. They're like, "Oh my God," but then also probably possibly insulted. Like
they carried it around in pain for decades, and you're like, never happened.
The story meant nothing to you?
All that suffering. Well, we've had therapy now, so we know that we're wounded clowns in some level.
Sure.
Conan's not?
I'm not buying that. I chose that moment to look out the window.
Yeah, you really did.
I'm looking at Sandler's home right now. Beautiful.
Hey, beep, beep. It's always fun.
If you're a sensitive instrument, which is a good thing to be if you're a performer, or an actor, or a comedian, and then it infiltrates your normal life and you process people. But everyone's
okay. Well, here's a thing that I think you could both relate to, which is people. Their assumption would be that, and if we make fun of somebody or we tell a joke at someone's expense, that we don't really care how they feel. Mm-hmm. And the truth is...
Or we don't like
Yeah, and the truth is, yes, there are people you can tell a joke about who you really despise, who are awful people, or impressions you can do of someone. But for the most part, and I think this includes both of you, I think most people would be surprised at how much we don't want to hurt someone's feelings. And that when you hear back from somebody, like I know... There was pressure on you, Dana, because you did such a great Johnny Carson impression, and people would think like, "Oh, you're killing with your Johnny Carson impression because it was so perfect." Mm-hmm. But you're hyper worried the whole time that it might upset Johnny or feel unflattering to him, right?
Well, and it did, and it felt bad because when I did it and when I sat in that character. And it's been reinforced by Tom Hanks and Martin Short on this podcast. Like, that was the most comfortable I've been doing a sketch on that show. I didn't care if it got laughs. I was so comfortable being that the charming Johnny. So a gentleman joins us for what you folks are home or watching a television. Right. So he was fine for a while, and I would still be on his highlight reel, and I would see Johnny. And then there was one that offended him, and then I never went on the show the last 2 years. I knew that I was out, and it was that was
shadow ban.
That was really, really unfortunate. I didn't like that, and someone told me that he would walk down the hall at NBC in Burbank and say, "They're making fun of me now. It's time to go." Just yell it out. So
also
felt bad about that.
I felt I heard this was from the great Rick Ludwin, terrific executive who NBC executive who loved loved SNL, loved late night. That was what he was in charge of, and
very nice.
Really good guy, and also the person who pretty much was responsible for keeping Seinfeld on the air when it was in trouble in its first season or two. And so, lovely guy who passed away about 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And anyway, I bring him up because he used to also work the Carson show, and he remembers having to go and tell Johnny, go into Johnny's dressing room and tell him, Johnny, I talked to you about, well, there's going to be a sketch at Saturday Night Live, and I do need to give you a heads up that, and that he would have to tell him, and that Johnny would say, well, I, don't particularly think it's funny, but that's their right. That's their right to do that. And then he. It's so funny because you forget, because we think of him as just being on top of the world from 1962 to what is it, 1991. 92. He's just on top of the world.
Yeah.
And 92. What we forget is that he's constantly, like any comedian or any star.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's constantly afraid and on alert that they're coming after me now. And so I read this interview with Johnny Carson from 1980, and it was in Rolling Stone magazine, and he's talking about, the interviewer keeps saying, well, what do you think of Belushi, and what do you think of Aykroyd, and keeps asking about Saturday Night Live, and what did you think of Animal House, and what did you think of Chevy, and Johnny, you realize, has been hearing from a lot of young people or whatever that's what's the cool thing now. And he was the cool thing from 62 to up to 75. And not that he still wasn't great and revered, but I thought, wait, in 1980, he's worried about, he's taken a couple of shots at SNL, and how he thinks that the humor really, he thinks it's a kind of obnoxious and he doesn't quite see it. And it's not his favorite thing. And then you realize that, okay, then 8 years later or 10 years later, the show is
directly
kind of having fun at his expense. I mean, I didn't think of it. I just always thought of at that time, Johnny Carson is so secure. What does he care? You know what I mean? And it's just funny and silly. And your impression was, I thought affectionate. I thought you loved Johnny.
I love
Dana,
being in
and
that.
I thought it was affectionate, but
I do think that in show business.
But I know that there was a sketch. I think there was a sketch that was written
that made him a little.
Someone wrote a sketch where
senile.
where Johnny's trying to be cool to keep up with Arsenio, and the roughest part was Phil was playing the sidekick, Ed McMahon, and he was saying things like, he literally was chuckling and going, ha ha ha, peaked in the 70s.
Old reference, lost on younger reference.
Lost. No, old reference, lost on younger viewers.
Old reference, lost on younger viewers. And you think, wow, if I was, if there was a hot new sketch show now, and there was a guy playing Conan, and I'm just completely out of it, and I'm not up on what's happening now, and I'm, and I'm old because I've been on TV too long. I would, it would hurt my.
I wouldn't even come in the next day.
It would really hurt my feelings and probably be deserved on some level. So it's you can't have it both ways.
But I'm interested in this idea that every performer becomes a caricature of themselves, and you can look at someone sometime and just think, is that person, or is that a celebrity impressionist doing that person? And it happens to everyone, and you have to keep a sense of humor about it. Well, you're so self-deprecating. You're always ahead of the.
Well, no, but I think that it's one of the things the three of us have a pretty good vantage point on, which is we've been at all the different stages. And then what I always wanted to be at the stage I'm at now is be gracious about and kind of intrigued and curious about the young people coming up, because I'm 5 seconds away from someone ripping me a new asshole for being too old. So just try and be gracious about all of it.
Well, I remember Sammy Davis Jr. on television out of the blue going, I'm not going to be competitive with Michael Jackson anymore. You know? And he was like almost 60.
Oh, Sammy Davis.
Yeah.
But I had a good time with Conan.
Thank you, Conan.
You've been a really great guest.
Guys, I love talking to you. I look forward to us getting a meal.
Yes.
That would be really nice.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
We don't need Sarandos this time. We don't need a Netflix guy.
Oh, he was fun, but he was just padding.
Yeah, we move on now. We move on. It's just the three of us next time. That's it.
No, we had a blast, but we could do it with us, and we'll fight to see who pays. It won't be me. Okay, thanks, Conan.
Okay, I do love you guys, and thank you for having me on. It's nice to have.
Let's have dinner
Appreciate
soon.
it, bud.
Goodbye. Check in next week where our guest will be Tom Hanks. Fly on the Wall has been a presentation of Cadence 13.
Please listen, then rate, review, and follow all episodes.
Executive produced by Dana Carvey and David Spade, Chris Corcoran of Cadence 13, and Charlie Finan of Brillstein Entertainment. Production and engineering led by Greg Holtzman, Richard Cook, Serena Regan, and Chris Basil of Cadence 13.